On September 15th, 2008, I woke up and made tea. As I always do, I turned on the radio, and the man on the radio said, "Lehman Brothers has filed for bankruptcy." I put my cup down. 158 years old, the fourth largest investment bank in the United States. Gone, overnight. I remember thinking, if they can go, anyone can go. For years, people had called Lehman too big to fail. That morning, I understood what that phrase really meant. That morning changed everything. Not just the markets, the way ordinary people trusted banks, the way I trusted banks. Most people had never heard of Lehman Brothers before 2008. That was the point. It was not a corner bank where you kept your savings. It was a machine, a very large machine that bought and sold debt, mortgages mainly. When you borrowed money to buy a house, that debt didn't stay with your local bank. Your local bank sold it to someone like Lehman. Lehman bundled thousands of these mortgages together, gave the bundle a complicated name, and sold it to pension funds, governments, other banks. Everyone bought it, because the rating agencies said it was safe. AAA, the safest possible rating. I remember a colleague of mine, a careful man, not reckless, telling me in 2006, "Warren, these mortgage products are printing money. The housing market never goes down." I didn't argue, but I didn't buy either. The problem started long before September 2008. It started with the mortgages themselves. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, American banks began lending to people who could not afford to repay. No income check, no deposit, sometimes no documentation at all. They called them subprime mortgages. Banks gave these loans because they didn't plan to keep them. They sold the debt to Lehman. Lehman sold it onwards. Everyone took a fee. Nobody held the risk, or so they thought. When responsibility is spread across everyone, it usually belongs to no one. When nobody holds the risk, nobody asks the hard question. By 2006, 1 in 5 new mortgages in America was subprime. $1.3 trillion in loans to people who, in normal times, would never have qualified. The answer came in 2007. House prices started falling for the first time in decades. People who had borrowed 100% of the value of their home found themselves owing more than the house was worth. They stopped paying, and the mortgages Lehman was holding, the ones supposedly rated AAA, began defaulting. Not some of them. By 2008, hundreds of billions worth. By early 2008, Lehman Brothers was in trouble. Real trouble. $85 billion in mortgage assets, losing value every week. Their own executives knew. The stock had already fallen 73% before September even arrived. Other banks stopped lending to Lehman. I had seen companies struggle before. I had never seen trust disappear that quickly. The people who knew Lehman best had decided they no longer trusted it. And here is the thing about being too big to fail. It only works if someone is willing to catch you. That weekend, September 12th to 14th, every major bank in America sat in a room together, trying to find someone willing to buy Lehman, to save it. Every door Lehman knocked on stayed closed. Barclays looked, then walked away. Bank of America walked away. By Sunday morning, there was nobody left to call. At 1:45 in the morning, Lehman's board voted to file for bankruptcy. $639 billion in assets. 158 years of history. Done. In a weekend. When Lehman collapsed, the panic spread in hours, not days, hours. Credit markets froze. Banks stopped lending to businesses. Businesses stopped hiring, then started firing. 8.7 million people in the United States lost their jobs between 2008 and 2010. Not bankers, factory workers, teachers, builders, people who had done nothing wrong. $11 trillion in household wealth disappeared. Retired people opened their statements and found they had lost a third of their savings. Not because they gambled, because they trusted the system. I knew a man, an engineer, 64 years old, who had worked at the same company for 31 years. His pension was invested in funds that held Lehman debt. When the dust settled, he had lost 38% of his retirement savings. He worked 3 more years than he planned. He was not bitter, he was just tired. That is what I remember most, not the panic, not the headlines, the tiredness on people's faces. I have had 16 years to think about this. 3 things failed, not the markets, not the economy. 3 specific things. The first was incentives. The people who gave out the loans got paid when they gave them out, not when they were repaid. The people who packaged them got paid when they sold them, not when the borrower kept paying. We rarely do what we're told. We do what we're rewarded for. Pay people for the sale. Don't ask whether it ends well. Eventually, someone stops caring how it ends. The second was complexity. The products Lehman sold were so complicated that almost nobody understood them, even inside Lehman. There is a rule I have kept my whole life. If I cannot explain an investment in 2 sentences, I do not buy it. The people running pension funds in 2006 could not explain what they were holding in 2 sentences. They trusted the rating. They trusted the name. Trust without understanding is not an investment decision. It is hope. The third failure was size. Lehman was told, for years, that it was too big to fail, that the government would never let it collapse. So it took bigger and bigger risks, because it believed the net would always catch it. The net did not catch it. Too big to fail. It failed. People sometimes ask me whether 2008 made me stop believing in investing. It didn't. It made me stop believing that someone else was watching my money for me. That was the real lesson. Banks were forced to hold more capital after 2008. Less debt. Some of the most dangerous products were restricted. We repaired some of the cracks. The rules changed. People didn't. And ordinary people, the ones who survived it, learned something too. Not to trust a name, not to trust a rating. To ask the simple question, what is my money actually sitting in? That question, asked earlier, saves more than any regulation. 3 things I want you to carry from this. The system does not protect you. Understanding protects you. This week, look at 1 thing your pension or savings is invested in. 1 fund, 1 product. Ask yourself, can I explain in 2 sentences what this actually holds? If you cannot, find out. Call your provider. Read the fact sheet. If you cannot explain it, why do you own it? I still think about that engineer sometimes. 3 more years, not because he made a mistake, because someone else did. I put my cup down that morning in 2008. The tea went cold. The mistakes that led to that morning, they took years to make. They will take years to make again. But they will be made. They always are.